in a nutshell, what's our journey been to this point in time right now? Okay. As we know, the pandemic happened. Everything was closed, and we were shell-shocked for 4 to 5 months, and then we all started to work through certain things to get to a point of understanding what is in front of us. Now, that's from a personal point of view, from a business point of view, from a claims point of view, from all of this to understand what we've got. So from the outset, we have sat with our insurers and we've said, guys, what are you going to do? The answer that we've received from our insurers at that stage wasn't necessarily the answers that we wanted or we could actually give to our clients. So we said, okay, well, let's turn to our legal advisors that's to our disposal, and let's start discussing with our legal advisors, what do we stand to do? So it very quickly became evident that no one knew. No one knew what the right answer was. The insurer said something, the clients expected something else. We had a multitude of legal experts that disagreed with each other. So the next step was, let's all apply our arguments to the court. The insurer said, okay, fine. They're happy to get the legal certainty. Our clients were happy that route would be followed. And in order for us all to get to a certain point of understanding what's going to happen going forward, which sounds very simple, but the arguments that were taken to court were based on 2 particular policies. So those 2 particular policies might read completely different to what the customer's own individual policy might be, which brings its own challenges, because we now have to take whatever the courts decided, which was a phenomenal victory because it brought us leaps ahead of where we were. We now needed to start interpreting, well, what does that say for our customers in SATIB? Without having a view of what those policies actually read like, we had to engage with the insurers again and say, okay, well, insurers, what is your view on these matters? And that's when the insurer said, look, we will we accept occurrence, we accept the causation, we accept the lockdown, we accept the 27th as the trigger date. There might be different trigger dates which will be brought into the claim, but any policy wording that is similar or the same as those wordings that were dealt with in the Cafe Chameleon case and the Mar Africa case, those policies would be handled in the following manner, which is, if you had a trigger within the policy radial limit as at the 27th of March 2020, and you can prove that the trigger was in your vicinity, you have a valid claim with your insurer. The insurer then threw another curveball and said, look, we're not going to pay any claims more than the 3-month indemnity period as stated under the extension. So, which they communicated, which we communicated, which is completely different to the findings in the Mar Africa case, but then also granted the insurer is going to challenge this particular decision in court to say, well, you know what, there you go, this is what it says, it's 3 months, So then I suppose that then there'll be further clarity. However, now the insurer is coming through with another curveball on top of that, saying, we are going to give you the 3-month full and final settlement, Mr. Klein. Regardless of what the legal action is going to be, we're going to give you the 3-month full and final. So now you've got 2 options. Either I accept it, or I wait for further court action. So it's not clear cut. It's not easy. It's not as simple as telling clients, look, fine, send me all your documents. We're going to get you your 3 or 18 months or whatever it is, and there you go. Because ultimately, I want to make sure that I advise my client correctly by saying, Mr. Client, I'm investigating all of this. And yes, the investigation process takes time because I need to get in advisors from different aspects in business to come through to me to say, Dewald, this is our opinion. Then then I get an opinion from somewhere else. So, and then in the end of the day, I take all these opinions and I can then make an educated decision of advising my client, say, Mr. Client, this is how we think the claim should be submitted to the insurer. We're not just accepting everything that is being put across our desks. We are challenging every single thing to make sure that when your claim goes in to the insurer, we have investigated the best possible opportunity for you to claim against your policy. We are moving from party to party to party to party, and no one has got an answer, because the more questions we raise, thinking it might be a simple answer, the more questions are then exposed outside of that, because the entire insurance view of the contract has now changed. It changed, and the courts have said, you know, it changed. So we now need to relook at all these things. And every day, I mean, the situation is still completely fluid. Today, I'll tell a client something. Tomorrow, it changes. And then my advice changes. And not to have answers for people to say, well, you know, this is how it's going to work, because we don't know. This whole thing is we don't know. We don't know. And we've got two choices at SATIB. We can take what the insurer tells us is how they're going to view this, and we can submit everything accordingly. But I know deep down in my being that is not going to be necessarily the best and fairest way for my customers. So that is why we sit with unpacking questions out of questions, out of questions, out of questions, and we're brainstorming this. And it's in a fluid environment, an answer yesterday is not necessarily an answer today. It almost becomes the opposite of what you've seen yesterday or what you've decided on yesterday. And I mean, case in point, I mean, I've got a daily meeting with all my claims people, daily, just so we can focus on what needs to be done, because we've got this influx of claims coming in. And yes, I can palm everything off to a loss adjuster, absolutely, but it's going to be the same result as just accepting what insurer says, because loss adjusters take the cues from insurers. Loss adjusters are not there to challenge what is being said. So yeah, it makes it difficult. It makes it difficult to try and continue and make sure that our clients are correctly insured for all the other perils that are still out there. And going into meetings with our clients, renewal meetings, where we say, well, Mr. Client, I'm going to continue to take money from you. Although I know you are no longer generating any revenue. But it's that catch-22 situation. If you don't pay for those other perils and your lodge burns down, your vehicle gets stolen, your laptop gets stolen, then what then? Then you don't have insurance. So that's a difficulty of sitting with our clients and say, but I'm continuing to take premium. And I want you guys to understand that I'm not taking the premium. My income that I generate from the service that I provide is proportional to what you pay in premium to the insurer. That's what it is. And it's dropped considerably because there's no longer a big portion of where we used to generate premium business interruption is no longer there. It's a zero revenue. In the end of the day, we are all in this together. We don't see ourselves as part of the insurance industry. We see ourselves as part of the tourism industry. And we've seen ourselves like that for the past 30 years, that we have been blessed to be a part of this industry. We certainly have the best client base there could ever be in the fantastic people we find in the hospitality industry. But we sit in the same boat. We sit with, and I think if you break it down to a raw, bare bone level, we are all fighting the same fight. We've got the same struggles. We don't have answers. We don't know when our kids will be able to go back to school, and if they do, for how long. We don't know whether our parents and our in-laws will be safe during this. We don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know. Are there going to be 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th waves? So it's really it's very uncharted territory. There's no rule book for me in this. There's no rule book. I cannot fall back on any experience that this has ever been built up in the past, where I can phone up experienced grey-head in the industry and say, what do I do? How do I handle this? Because no one knows. So, and ultimately, they should just, I mean, it's the understanding that we are continuously fighting for our clients, non-stop, every second of the day, every minute of the day. We are in discussions with attorneys. We are in discussions with insurers. There's not just one insurer. There are a multiple of insurers. We're taking these discussions across the South African borders into the territories where we have got our colleagues who are also looking for answers in those territories. And it's the understanding and I suppose, the compassion that we are fighting the fight for our customers, not for us. It's to make sure that in the end of the day, the right answer gets given to our customers, but our clients understand that we are fighting the good fight, and they're there to support us, and they trust us to come to them with the right answer. However, that answer is not going to be a speedy answer. It's going to be a prolonged answer, but we need to make sure that it is the correct answer at the end of the day. We've always walked into a client's office or a situation where we've met with clients where we've known that 90% of the answers we have, and we dealt with issues where we knew what could go wrong and what we needed to do when it did go wrong. And we walked through various and many situations where our clients suffered massive traumatic losses. I think of the floods in 2012. I think of fires that happened to large scales. I think of situations where guests were injured at their properties and we didn't know what to do. And we built SATIB 24 and we started helping our clients in real time when incidents happened and getting their guests to the best medical facility possible. And if the worst thing happened to that particular guest, we were there and we knew what to do, and we held hands through many uncertain legal territories. But from the day that this happened, sitting in front of clients who built their the businesses over many years, in many decades, the same time as what SATIB took to get to our toddler feet and where we are now. To sit there and see friends of mine, CEOs and business owners of businesses close to tears, not knowing what they're going to do tomorrow. How are they going to pay their staff? How are they going to manage to save a legacy that was potentially built by their parents? And you take that home, and you take that with you to the office, and you take that with you into the discussions with insurers, and you get emotional about it, and you get angry about it, and you almost get aggressive because there's no answer, there's no help, there's no real clear indication of how these things work. And yet, like the clients have done over the decades that we have been walking these roads together, to sit there and say, Dewald, what is the answer? And you sit there, well, I don't know. It's probably one of the most soul-destroying situations that you can find yourself in. It's not knowing what to say, but that drives you. So it makes me get up in the morning and get my claims team together every single day, and the day starts with a claims meeting, and then following that I've got meetings with my legal teams, and then following that I've got meetings with all the different insurers, and that's every single day of putting pressure on everyone to bring through the answers to the solutions that we require. And that's where we are, and that's the fight that we fight on a continuous basis to make sure we get to the right answer, to get to the fair answer, to try and make sure that my client that has been building this business, that inherited this business, is there tomorrow for me to step into his office again and find out, how's your son doing? How's your daughter doing? How's your wife? How's your partner? How's your mom and dad? That is what we strive to get back to in the end of the day.